his entire 7-figure Amazon empire, made millions of dollars. And one of the huge techniques that he uses in doing that is... What's up, everyone? Hurricane Liz here, and I'm super excited to bring you guys another very successful person that I know. And I love to bring these guys here on the YouTube channel because I've gotten some very good feedback from you guys in the comments that you guys get inspired by all these different people coming from different walks of life and succeeding at what they do. So today, I bring you another one of those guys. In fact, this guy's special to my heart because of the fact that he's a good buddy of mine. He goes by the name of Crazy Dave. And before I met him, I never actually really realized there was a crazier motherfucker than myself. It was an honor to meet him. I got to meet him at the Goat Farm Mastermind, which Dana Derricks threw out there. And I got to be honest with you guys, in terms of the speakers, I've never been at a mastermind where there has been a more sharing group of speakers. And in the coming weeks, you guys will be lucky enough to get to meet those guys. They love what they do. They love to share. And best of all, they are real Amazon sellers making a real shitload of money. So you guys want to pay attention to this guy's story. We're going to introduce him here in just a minute. And Crazy Dave, first of all, I want you to say hi to everybody out there watching this. I know people are going to be fired up. Say
yeah, hi. Hi, guys. And Liz mentioned, yeah, crazy amount of money, but also a crazy amount of fun. And that's really my mission. Like, I love learning and creating these little loopholes, and I love even more sharing them with people. But at the end of the day, I want people to just enjoy their business. That's why we really got into it, right? Like, to have freedom, to have fun. Yeah, they make a ton of money, but that's what it's really all about. So it's, Liz is like the walking definition of success and having fun. And that's why I was we were instantly attracted to each other. And it's an honor to be here.
Right. And actually, funny story is at the end of Dana Derricks' mastermind, I actually got up there and gave a speech. I wanted to fire people up. And that speech was, the conclusion of the speech was basically how fun a life I have, including, if you remember this, Dave, I know a bunch of people were just freaking laughing their ass off when I said this. The time that I went to Hong Kong was drugged and
Dude.
locked in a club, was you know, like drugged and locked in a club. And then I saw the person that was in that club with me at this mastermind. It was a total surprise. I had no idea he was going to be there. And he and I and 6 other guys and another girl had such a freaking amazing time. It was one of the funnest times of my life. Where it was almost like scary to some people, but we got locked and drugged in Hong Kong. How exciting was that, Dave?
Well, it's just like, what are the chances? Like, first of all, the chance of you getting, okay, you know what? People that know you, I would say there's actually a reasonable high chance of you getting drugged in Hong Kong. That is probably I would say, yeah. But the fact that the dude that you got drugged with in Hong Kong was at Dana's event was I think it was a 25K event. It was an intimate, small setting, which we know is just such a beautiful experience, because a lot of times we're speaking to like either thousands of people on a webinar or at these expos and conventions, but when you get to a high level mastermind, it gets intimate. So it was such a small amount of people, intimate setting there, and the fact that this guy was there and you guys didn't. Did you guys keep in touch or anything? Or
no, we've always been good friends, and we've seen each other at so many events.
Crazy, man.
I'll tell you the crazy thing about that night, Dave, is those Asian ladies that locked us in the club, they didn't have enough alcohol in the whole place to stop me and that guy. And I think that's why they finally set us loose. They said, there's no way we're going to keep these motherfuckers from drinking us out of business. Let's just set them loose. And that's why we got away. So
you're the first person I know that was like, that you like welcomed the drugging. Like, yeah,
I always like a challenge. It's always a competition. But anyways, I will have to tell that to you guys another time. But let's get straight into it with Dave. I wanted to first ask you, Dave, so we usually like to ask, what exactly were you doing before you actually got into e-commerce? Because you're not just Amazon. A lot of people are just Amazon, but you are a true e-commerce guru. I hate to use that word, but you really are. Tell people a little bit more about your story, how you got into e-commerce and how long you've been doing it.
Yeah, sure. And I hate that. In fact, to my own detriment, I hate it to the fact where it's like, I'm that type of guy, like when, like a popular band would come out, I would intentionally not listen to them because everybody else was listening to them. So like, and then like 5 years later, I'm like, oh, wow, these guys are actually really good. So with the whole like guru thing, like I hate it to the point where I've been doing this for over 12 years. And so I've aged severely, not from e-commerce, but because my wife and I have our first child. But like, I've been doing this for so long, like a ridiculously long freaking time. And where most gurus, they start teaching before they actually are making or, creating and doing. I probably waited a little bit too long. And that's okay, because I'm here now. And the other reason why I love you so much, Liz, is like, I've said it before, like, we're like the very few people that are actually still working in our business. And that's like such like a, like, ooh, you're not supposed to be working in your business, you're supposed to be working on your business. And you're supposed to be like, teaching people. But like, you and I talk about this, like Liz and I, to this day, as excited as we are to share stuff with you, before this call, like literally before this call, we were geeking out on teaching each other and sharing what we're doing in our business, like actually doing the freaking work in our business. Okay, I digress. That's like a little side rant, because like, Liz is the real deal, and it's really cool because like attracts like, and I love it. So before this, I know it's hard to believe, but I was an investment banker on Wall Street. Now, this is many, many moons ago. So right out of college, I did what I was supposed to do. Got good grades in school, played sports, vice president of my student council, which is ridiculous when you look back on high school. Like, I think I don't know, I sent out ballots for the prom song. That was like my only responsibility or something. But I was that guy. I was like it was whatever. And on Wall Street, my first day of work, I had 2 weeks of training, and my first day of work was to report to 60 Wall Street. I had no business being in the World Trade Center my first day of work, except for I was living in Hoboken. For those that don't know, Hoboken's New Jersey. It's on the opposite side of the Hudson River, the Statue of Liberty, that's the river. And I commute. So I took this subway, this underground subway called the PATH train, into the World Trade Center for my first day of work, which was September 11th, 2001, which is 9/11. And so my first day of work on what I thought was going to be my banking career of working 14 hours a day and kissing ass professionally for a living, because I got to tell you, that's what those motherfuckers do. And that's where their focus is on. And some of my best friends are still in that position, and they actually love it. So maybe they're the good ones, but in general, that world wasn't for me. And if there ever was a sign of how short our time is on this earth, man, that was it. And so I wish I wish the story ended. It's like, and then that day I went in and I was like, fuck this. And I left. And I'm not sure. Am I allowed to use? Okay. And so it took another year and a half or 2 years for me to actually, for the pressure to build up to just say, forget it, for that to stew, like if you ever have a pressure cooker. Little side note, I bought the Instant Pot on Amazon, and it's phenomenal. It's an electronic pressure cooker. And that thing built up for 2 years until I finally said enough. I traveled, man. I traveled from that day till took about another 4 years of me traveling. I worked as a tour guide, running cross-country trips, got to see America. I bartended, which was so much fun. I learned like the juggling bartending, which I will, next time we see each other, Liz, we'll have some fun with that. I'll show you how to flip bottles and land them.
Cocktail.
Yeah, exactly. And it was so much fun. But while I was doing this, I started learning, and I just started investing not money, but time on tapes, on anything I could get my hand on, books, and a lot of our heroes. And then finally I moved out to LA, because on one of my trips, I came out here and I was running tours at the time. So I was like, wow, like if I'm out here working, imagine if I'm out here living, like how cool would it be? Come out here. One thing led to another. And I found this guy that I started working for in the tea industry. Something that's pretty cool about me, which I think most people don't do, is I actually tell people what I sell. So if you look me up, I sell kombucha kits. Kombucha is this funky, hippie, moldy, yeasty, delicious tea. And I did this like 12 years ago. So now kombucha is kind of trendy. They have it at Trader Joe's and it's huge in Whole Foods. But like, one of my superpowers, besides levitation, which I'm on right now, my little stand-up board, which is great, is seeing trends so far in advance that I actually think that I missed the trend. But 12 years ago, I saw this, and kombucha really changed my life. It's helped with my own personal health journey, and that really set the thing on. And I also saw hot sauce kits, and we have like other things that we've done. People could see my products, but the biggest thing was working for this other person in the tea industry. And as much as I learned about tea, and as much as I learned some internet stuff, because he was one of the first people I knew that had an online store, which was OS Commerce, which is like so back in the day, was I learned mindset. This guy didn't go to a college the way, you know, like a traditional university. He went to like a hippie college type alternative thing. But this guy took the flag and just made a decision and said, you know what? And he, you know, sound effect included, like, I'm here. This is me. Let's do this. I'm the guy. I'm the tea guy. Or I'm the hula hoop salesperson. Or I'm the person that's going to get you from here to here. And he just owned it. And what they don't teach you in a traditional school is that. They teach you everything else, or maybe certainly not everything else, but they teach you like lots of stuff, but they don't teach you belief. And that has to be the foundation. So I'm sorry that's a long, that's a kind of a, that's actually the short version of the story, but here we are today. That's how I got started, was really belief, curiosity, realizing first what I don't want, which was the traditional, not even 9 to 5. And I was working like 9 to 9, at least, you know, sometimes 14, 16-hour days in that world. It's good enough to start saying what you don't want, but then you have to make an effort to then start saying what you do want. I know, Liz, you're really big on that with the power of intention and you know, visions and the secret and things like that, because that is it. And then belief is going to really give you that fuel. So that's how I got started.
So question for you, because I know there's a lot of people out there that are actually they've started, they're doing something, they've maybe made a sale, but what kind of rejection and obstacles did you actually see along the way?
Yeah, so it's funny. Like my biggest rejection, and this goes back to belief. And if we get really honest with ourselves, the biggest rejection is not your friends, not your parents. It's yourself. It's the inner nonsensical voice that is actually deciding to believe those external voices. And sometimes those external voices, like for instance, my friends were like living vicariously through me. They were like, yeah, man, like, you know, I just imagine leaving New York City, which is crazy during winter time, nonstop, like in a subway, like sardines, where you walk outside and you're freezing, but then you get into the subway and you are like sweat city because you're like all hot and there's like people next to you. And I actually miss that now a little bit, but at the time it was horrible. And your friends are still doing this grinding. And like, I am like on a beach in LA, like 75-degree weather, like calling them like, hey man, what you up to? They're like, what do you mean what am I up to? I'm looking at like 1,000 Excel spreadsheets to, you know, and they're like, what are you up to? I'm like, I'm just like thinking like what the next video I'm going to do to like, you know, talk about kombucha. They're like, what, dude? So those guys were like, they actually gave me the opposite. They got to live vicariously through me. But then I had the messed up voices like, am I going to let them down? Or is this like, now I have the pressure? My parents didn't say don't do this, but my parents were like worried. You know what I mean? Like, you know, we have a joke, like my mom, like, what are they going to brag? How is she going to brag to her friends now? You know, it's like my son, the financial guy, or versus my son selling some hippie tea on the internet that I don't really understand. I mean, like up until 2 years ago, my mom had an AOL account, right? So like, so it's really the internal belief. So how do you, so this is what everyone will tell you. And this advice is real and true. People that are going to be haters, have empathy for them, guys. I you know, 99% of the time, it's not you, it's them. They have their own internal disbelief in themselves. And the only way they can make sense of this world is by projecting it on you. They are not doing it intentionally. They love you and they want you to win. They have their own self-doubt on them. And so the way you go about that is, instead of letting them pull you down, pull them up, or cut ties for a little bit. I found a better solution so that you don't have to cut ties, because that's hard sometimes, right? And you find groups like freaking this. We live in a day of age. It's like, what's with the internet? It's like do you know how, and by the way, I did not, like the first 6 years of my business, I was a lone wolf. Not only did I physically leave my family and friends, I didn't know anybody out in LA. It was just literally on a whim, just being out here. Saw people were more laid back and the weather was so much nicer. And that's enough. Like after a couple winters in New York City, like that's all you need, right? The first 6 years of my business was hard because the first couple of months, it was cool to be the lone wolf. I did work in my underwear. I did whatever I want. I just whatever. But it's lonely, guys. It's freaking lonely. But now with like Facebook groups, again, guys, 12 years ago, like they didn't have Amazon. I was on Amazon 8 years ago, you know? So finding groups now with Facebook groups, Liz's groups, like that's what you do. And it doesn't have to be either or. You see your old friends or whatever you want to call it, they serve a purpose in your world and you could still appreciate them for when you go home and see them in Thanksgiving and you play basketball. You could still appreciate them when you want to go see a movie. But to start talking like ACOS percentage and conversion rates and lightning deal loopholes and all these things that Liz and I geek out on, that if you're watching this, you're also geeking out on, you're getting energy. No, don't have to even bring it up, because what happens is like you will start getting more success and you are going to want to share it with these people and they're not really going to want to hear it. Some of them will, and those are amazing friends, but they're going to start then being self-doubt and disbelief and negativity on themselves, and that's going to be projected towards you. So I know other groups or other people will say like cut them off, and I just say no, compartmentalize them. Put them in the drawer of like, these are my friends that I see movies with and we reminisce about the old days, or maybe we talk about family. Again, I want to help people live a full life. Amazon has been so good to me. It's been so good to you. Do you know what I enjoyed more than money? I enjoyed seeing you and hanging out, you know, those 3 days with Dana and seeing those other people and giving them value and helping their businesses. Like that is incredible. I enjoy like you seeing pictures of my daughter, like, and so compartmentalize it. You know, it doesn't have to be either or nothing. Find these groups to get support because you are not alone. And this is the cool thing. It's like everybody's this lone wolf, but we got the wolf pack, and it sounds cliche. It's from the movie, but it's true. And I know if you're watching this, you feel it, you resonate with it. You geek out when somebody puts a Facebook post on like this cool little win or this cool little hack, or just to vent like, oh my God, I have the customer from hell. Be like, yep, been there, done that. This is our community. So you fight it with finding another community for to get your needs served and met.
So you said a couple key things there that really like caught my attention. I actually was at a seminar once. I was speaking at Alex Becker's event, and I had a lady in the audience. All the questions she asked me, she actually asked me, her husband was giving her a hard time about her business. He actually didn't like it. He was encouraging her to quit. And she said, what do you do when your husband or somebody like that tells you that it can't be done? How do you actually handle that? So I kind of handle it a little bit differently. Dave actually told her, get a new husband, and everybody erupted in laughter because they thought it was quite funny. But realistically, a lot of us don't have the luxury of just being able to cut off our husband or our wife. Like, we're obviously with them for a reason. We love them. And then it probably, I've never been in that situation, so I'd imagine it hurts quite a bit when you got your significant other telling you can't do it. What advice do you give somebody like that?
Yeah, and this is wow. We're going deep, Liz. So you know, we're kidding around with that comment, but there's a lot of truth to that. And I don't believe it's a light switch on or off. And the way my wife and I don't know. I don't want to use the word deal with it or handle it, but the way we look at it is like anything else. If I play basketball once a week, right? It's important.
You know, it could kind of be like Dave, you know, when like she probably wants to go to a romantic comedy movie and you're like, oh fuck, I don't want to see this Savi, like boo-hoo, girl gets by, everything ends happily when it's bullshit, and that doesn't actually exist in reality. It's a lot of bumpier road. So it's sort of like that. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it's you treat it like any other opportunity / challenge in a relationship, where you take a step back. And I think the number one thing, and I have a long way to go to become a relationship expert. I'm just coming into my own being an e-commerce guru, right? I'm definitely not the relation guy, but the idea is that you take a step back and you talk about the intention. Like, so for basketball, why am I playing basketball? I'm playing basketball once a week so I could sweat and get out some of my frustrations and be around other dudes and but that allows me to be a better husband ultimately, because by getting that, having some time for myself, having some time to sweat, and it allows me then in the morning to be more present with my wife and family. The same thing is for an Amazon business. If you tell your spouse, listen, I am doing this so that I'm working really, really hard right now so that we're setting up our family, our lifestyle. We're up leveling our time together. I'm building a business where I am working very, very hard, but it's not within the limitation of space and time. So that if we want to, like, this, like in 2 weeks, I'm going to Israel for my wife is Israeli and be with her family. We go twice a year, guys. Like, and it's not rainbows and unicorns, but what other job or whatever business even can you do that? And so I would have a conversation with your partner where you guys aren't this and this. You guys are like this, like on the same side. So you're literally like at a booth, like at a restaurant. You're coming over to her side and you're viewing the thing together. And so you remove the emotion as best as you can. And obviously we're both pretty emotional people, but you try to remove it best you can. You say, yeah, you're right. Like, that's interesting. Like, let's talk about the reasons why we want to do this, to this business. And then also you then ask him or her or whatever, why they feel this way, and just listen. Because a lot of the times the theories might be things that might not exist, or might be things that you could address together. So that would be my tips. That's been from my own experience, what's been working really well.
Yeah, if you ever need a moonlight as something, a relationship expert, I think that's on the horizon for you at some point after you retire from this whole Amazon thing. But all kidding aside, even though that is a serious question, a lot of us have a person like that in our life. It's not necessarily our husband or our wife. It's some other asshole that tells us and shit in our Cheerios. They take a piss in our Cheerios. They don't follow. They don't feel like we can actually achieve our dream. But as he said, I feel like a lot of it has to do with their own inner feelings, and they're kind of afraid to actually lose you, or they want to protect you. So don't cut them off, like I said, even though I probably would, but don't do it. Just a warning ahead of time. So Dave, okay, on a serious note, how quickly did you actually get your first sale on Amazon?
Oh, it's a great question. I'm thinking rather quickly. What people don't know is I was selling way more things off Amazon than on Amazon, because I was on Amazon like I just started right when the whole private label thing happened, which is funny because I don't private label myself. I'm like the only dude I've met so far that actually manufacture my own stuff in the US. Like, we have our own fulfillment center. And by the way, I don't recommend that for people. Like, that's me because I'm weird and I just got satisfaction enough of creating my own stuff. But there's more than one. Like, that's why I'm saying go meta. What lifestyle do you want? I think I don't know, that the first day, but we've done with the second brand, the DIY gift kits brands. We just launched 2 new products, one for Mother's Day and one for Father's Day. And then, yeah, also we get sales the first day, but we do strategies that Liz and I geek out on, because Liz and I have this, we have different approaches about it, but we do not let Amazon decide anything that we could decide for ourselves. So Amazon has a lot of control, as we all know, but any time that we could take back that control, Liz and I do that. And so we're not just, and I'm sure when I'm launching a product, before I even launch it, I know, things go bad or worse, whatever, but I already know it's going to be ranked number 1 or number 2 or number 3. And I already know what the amount of money I'm going to be making, and I'm going to know my ROI. Like, that's already done. Too many people, and I love the idea of ready, fire, aim. So there's so many other ways to do ready, fire, aim, but doing some research, some market research on your product, and having a system in place that you control traffic and engagement and conversion. And I think nobody talks about follow-ups. Like, nobody talks about that. It's so much easier to get a person to buy again from you than to try to find another person. So much easier to get that person who bought from you to advertise for you than to even run Facebook ads. Nobody talks about this stuff, but anyway, that's my little side thing. But anyway, yes, the main thing is that get coaching, guys, all the way through, or find products, or just be in groups. Knowing the product you pick is great, but that's only part of the whole picture. You need to know how you're going to be marketing and how you're going to be launching and how you're going to be continuing the relationship with the customers that buy that product. That's
awesome. Awesome answer. So 2 more questions. I think these are the sickest questions ever. So these will truly help everybody out there. But what kind of advice do you have for people that are out there that are brand new, that haven't actually even gotten started? What kind of advice do you give those people listening right now?
Sure. So they've gotten, so the first thing is a mind shift, right? If you're listening right now, I'm giving you permission to own up to it and accept it. You started. You started. Do you know how many people don't even devote attention and awareness to things that they want? So you already started. The cool thing about that is once you really understand that, and so this is a mind shift. I can't, and I'm pausing because I talk so fast because we're both like super busy. And I wanted to, like, Liz is like, let's get on. I'm like, cool, we're going to do it. That's another, so learn from that as well. There's an interesting contradictory because I just said, like, you don't want to just do ready, fire, aim and just buy stuff and put it up on Amazon, right? But the idea of ready, fire, aim, of taking action, of going through a course, of there's, I mean, Liz and I, we teach stuff and we get paid really well to teach stuff because we've paid our dues financially. Like we spend our own money testing stuff out for our own freaking products before we teach it, right? But you could just go on YouTube and learn some stuff, man. Like, and I'm pausing because I want you to accept that you already started. You're watching this video. You already started. Do you know, I go back to my friends and I love them. And these guys, some of them are actually still doing better than I am because they're like, they just slaved away for now 15 years of their life in finance. So they'll get like maybe, you know, making like 4 or 5 million a year, but very few of them. We're talking about 1 or 2. But they're I don't want to say miserable, you know, because when I see them, we're usually drinking alcohol. So that's a nice escape and distortion. But they don't get to have the time for themselves. They don't have to have the time for their family. And they don't have the time to improve. They're in this one little lane, and maybe it's a great lane and there's not a lot of traffic on the lane, but they can't move. They're too deep. If you're watching this, you already started. You already decided to switch lanes a little bit. And so my first step is to accept that and celebrate that and acknowledge that. Don't be so hard on yourself. And then the next thing is to keep moving on that lane. Don't pull like, so it's a double-edged sword because being comfortable and then being good and proud is your death. You're done. 4 years ago, I was doing really well and I got really comfortable. Maybe it's now even 6 years ago. I was just killing the SEO game. And I was ranked, dude, I was ranked above Wikipedia for the term kombucha benefits. Like insane. I was ranked number 1. And then Google came along and Kung Fu, you know, me dropped my balls. And it was the best thing though, because I pivoted into direct response, really went deep in Amazon. Sales funnels came along. I mastered that. And I had fun. So my advice to you is 1, accept that you got started. 2, keep going. And 3, reverse engineer it. So like I said, ultimately, what do you want to make? Reverse that back and build a plan, not just starting with the product, but how you're launching that, how you're marketing that. And then lastly, get support, get help. There's so much help available. When I started, I read a bunch of copywriting books like Dan Kennedy and stuff like that. And I listened to Tony Robbins, but like there was no Hurricane Liz 12 years ago. I mean, there was always Hurricane Liz, but like not doing it. I wasn't accessible. It wasn't Crazy Dave 12 years ago, willing to share this stuff. Like you guys can get help and seek it because you're so much closer than you realize. So.
Awesome answer. And actually, while you were talking, I actually had an idea and I literally had to take a break and jot it down as I had that idea. So you gave me an idea just when you went there on that rant. Awesome. So final question for you. And this is possibly the most important question of the whole thing. And I didn't actually prep you for this question. So it's going to be totally off the cuff and things like that. Those Wall Street friends that you have that are making 4 or 5 million, have any of them ever been drugged, trapped in a club, and then forcefully thrown out of the club because they drank too much. Have they ever had that much fun?
They did. I don't think so. If they did, they'd have to, because they're all, they have nothing else to live for. So maybe they had to pay for that experience or something.
Yeah. So basically, they're not having as much fun as we are, which is the true internet entrepreneur lifestyle. And here he was, guys, Crazy Dave. Crazy Dave has been on a webinar before, one of my webinars, teaching his lightning deal loopholes. So he's basically the master of lightning deals, and he's built his entire 7-figure Amazon empire, made millions of dollars. And one of the huge techniques that he uses in doing that is lightning deals. He's become an absolute master at it. I highly recommend it for all of you guys that can actually go out there and get it. Doesn't matter if you have a product yet, or you're going to have a product in the future, or you have a product right now. And I guarantee you that the techniques that you actually learn from it are things that you have never heard, because guess what? I never heard about him. As soon as I found out, it was like light bulbs going off. It was like I was in a forest, a unicorn, as Dave said, and I was getting to run like a loose, wild maniac. So it was just epic. And as I said before, we'll have a link below down here. There is a limited time bonus for the next 7 days. You will get to see over the shoulder as he actually creates a real lightning deal, and you get to see his products. How crazy is that? The first guy that I've ever seen that actually shows his products. So the proof is in the pudding. He doesn't only talk the talk, but he walks the walk. You will get to see how he built his products. You will get to see the hundreds of reviews, in some cases nearly 1,000 reviews that he has on all these products, and the techniques that he actually used available in lightning deal loopholes. So again, guys, let us know how you like this video. Give us some comments and some anything. Let us know how you like the shenanigans between me and Dave here. Let us know what you'd like to see in the future. Thank you again, Dave, for being our guest today. And I know everybody's going to greatly appreciate this video.
Oh, my pleasure, Liz. I love you, and it's an honor to be here.
Awesome. Have a nice afternoon, everyone. Talk soon.
Bye, guys.